I am so glad you are here. It is Herby Thursday in my world. So let's talk about one of my faves, Bacopa. Now, these days I'm also seeing Bacopa being called Brahmi. The confusing thing about that is that name has been applied to three different herbs in Ayurvedic medicine through history. So I avoid Brahmi as a term and I stick with the genera name. This is Bacopa monieri. So I'm just taking part of that Latin name, sort of its last name, as the way we identify it, rather than calling it Brahmi, because Brahmis, again, that's also been a name for things like Gotu-kola. We don't want to confuse people, so we're going to stick to a more unique name. But I love this herb. Traditionally, according to my reading of various sources, Brahmi or Bacopa has been used essentially for elderly dementia. But then all of these very bad studies started coming out. And I do mean very bad. They were not double blind. All of the things you want studies to be, these were not. This was, I always refer to it as Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland going to the barn and doing a study. But there were hundreds of these things. I swear a stack of photocopies would be about as tall as me, suggesting that it helps kids with attention deficit disorder, memory, creativity. There's a whole host of things that it got measured on with kids badly. Now, since those studies came out, a few really good ones have been done with what are called high JDAD scores. That's the thing you want to see, because that says they met a lot of criteria that makes the information more foolproof than those earlier studies when everybody knew that you were taking this and everybody knew we were trying to figure out if it helps your brain. They back up the findings of all of the sloppy studies pretty nicely, actually. So this is a fabulous herb. Now, we've associated it with the Greek element of air and the planet Mercury, which should get you thinking, if you think symbolically about these things, about communication, commerce, things you need a brain to do, basically. It's a fabulous herb. Can everybody take this? No, not everybody can take this. So if you have brachycardia, which is a really low, slow heartbeat normally, this is out for you. And it's also not recommended for people with certain lung conditions, digestive conditions, thyroid issues, or urinary tract obstruction. Got a little warning right on here for you guys. So there are people who can't take it. Now, that said, if you're not particularly ill, I have tested this on, gosh, probably more than 100 people over the years, if not more than 2. And it's not popped for 2 people. 2, that's it. So this is an herb worth thinking about if you're thinking about ways to improve your life. And if you're thinking about it magically, put it in that blend for better business. It's a very modern herb to add in from a European or a North American perspective, like white people perspective. But I'd say it absolutely deserves a place in those combinations. It deserves a spot in your better business blend. It deserves a spot in better communication blends, whether that's to stop gossip, whether that's to do better in court, whether that is to, anywhere, improve your relationships, romantic relationships and things, family relationships, extended family relationships. This is what it looks like if it's not powdered. Now, that said, Ayurvedic medicine normally comes in powders. That's just the tradition there. The reason we don't go with a powder is the shelf life is about 4 times as long for an average herb. So we just, for preservation, potency properties, things like that, we opt for the cut and sifted version. If you are getting it powdered, just know you've got about 6 months to use it. And if you're getting it cut and sifted, which is what this form's called, then you've got, on average, about 2 years. Does that vary from herb to herb? Yeah, but 2 years versus 6 months, that's a good rule of thumb. So here she is, beautiful little weed, frankly. I've read about it described as just being, it's a rice paddy weed. And it's tasty in the early spring. If you pick it, you can cook with it or eat it raw. This is what I have read. I can't grow it here. We're not warm enough. And even though we're pretty swampy, we're not wet enough in the right ways. So have fun, play safe if you want to play with Bacopa or Brahmi, as it's also called. And in the meantime, I and the rest of the staff here at Magus Books in Minneapolis and online at magusbooks.com. Thank you so much for being your magical you. We love that about you. And of course, for doing the little social media magical things you can do here. I know you know what they are. We will see you folks soon. In the meantime, blessed be.